Hi fantasy managers, and welcome to FPL Team Talk. Welcome to my Game Week 13 watch list. The international break is almost over. Now I'm going to start turning my attentions to those players that I would like to transfer in for Game Week 13. I have a few players that I want to talk about that are of interest to me. Those players that have been highly bought or even highly sold. So if you enjoy these sort of videos, give it a like. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And now that's all over, let's get into it. I think the first player we need to have a look at is Jarrod Bowen, and the main reason we need to look at him is because he at the moment has that dreaded flag over him. He withdrew from the England squad before the match away at North Macedonia. It was said to just be precautionary, but at the moment we're just waiting to hear news from West Ham as to the extent of that injury. Now, he is supposed to go for a scan, so I'm really holding on all transfers until I hear about him, because if he's going to be out medium to long term, 4 to 5 weeks, then that's going to be quite a few game weeks he's going to miss. Then with that amount of money that he costs, I am just going to have to move on to someone else. Now the fixtures look fantastic for West Ham. They look great all the way up until about game week 22. Not only have they got Burnley, Palace and Wolves, as we can see, they also have matches against Manchester United and Arsenal in amongst 18 and 19. But up until game week 22, they look really good. So even if he's going to miss just a week or 2 weeks, I feel like he's probably a hold, because I'm just going to want him having back. The fact that Antonio is out injured as well suggests he is going to be playing more up front. Moyes has used him up there before, so it just means it's just another good thing to put alongside him. His minutes are absolutely nailed. I mean, he's the definition of being pretty much nailed. He's played every minute of every game, and with the fixtures coming so thick and fast coming up over the Christmas period, rotation will be key. Jarrod Bowen, you just don't think is going to be one of those players that's going to suffer from that. He will still be wheeled out game in, game out, with 90 minutes in the back of his mind, in the back of their mind. So I just think he's a brilliant long-term hold. Just fingers crossed that it's not. Fingers crossed he makes the weekend fixture and it's nothing more than precautionary, as they've said. But all transfers for me are just on hold until I know what's going to happen. If it's going to be short-term and maybe he misses 1 game week, I'm happy to hold. 2, I think I probably still will hold, but then even then if he comes back for the Tottenham away fixture, that's not great. For 3 fixtures, if I had nothing else to do, possibly I could look at moving on to someone else and bring him back. But depending again if you've got much money invested in him, possibly you want to hold. The problem with holding him is there's so many good midfield options and not particularly many good up front or defensive options. It feels like he's just using up a really premium slot. So I don't want to hold him for any more than 2, possibly 3 weeks if he's injured. But at the moment, we just got to wait and see what's happening. Now, Nketiah is a player, again, who was a bit of an injury doubt. It's very frustrating, especially for me, when he came off the bench for a 1-pointer. I brought him in a couple of weeks ago. I really didn't have any other transfers to do, which sounds a bit of a luxury, and I guess it was. So I was almost about getting the price rise, if nothing else. So if I got rid of him this week, and I am keen to do that, then I would have made 0.1 on him. The fixtures look decent, but the problem with Nketiah is when he was out, Trossard's come in and played really well in the Champions League and the last league game against Burnley where he scored. And it seems at the moment to me as if Trossard is just the preferred number 9. You have then Jesus coming back after the international break. Now, we're not quite sure. There was rumours that he could possibly even start for Brazil against Argentina. We'll have to wait and see, but all the indications are that Jesus will come back very soon. He's going to be then taking minutes off Nketiah. And although Nketiah's played quite a lot throughout the course of the season, 9 out of 12 games, there's just too many question marks over him. 5.7, I'd much rather use that money, distribute elsewhere. Because the other problem with Nketiah is he's not one of those players that if he isn't going to start, just won't come on, and that's fine, we'll use a bench player. He often comes off the bench, so he is just a real risk, a minutes risk for me. He's a headache. His underlying stats look great. If he gets the minutes, fantastic. I just think there's just better options elsewhere, and I just can't trust with Trossard and Jesus back. When's he going to come back? After game week 18, the fixtures turn a little bit for Arsenal as well. I just want to go elsewhere. I think Nketiah is one of the key players that I just want to get rid of. Here's a player again, and I feel reticent bringing him back into the side to look at on my watch list. 5.5, he got a goal and assist against Palace. he just looks really good. His underlying stats are really, really good, and we shouldn't underestimate Everton's attacking prowess this season. They're one of the top sides for expecting goals, which sounds crazy under the current management, Sean Dyche, and I just think Decore's been sort of labelled as this sort of holding midfield, box to box at most, but his underlying stats have been really good. I just wonder if we are sleeping on a little bit. I did mention him a few weeks ago, and when I had a chance to go for a 2-week punt. He actually got a goal and assist in that sort of 2-week period as well. So I wonder whether we're missing. The problem is with Decore, I think. He's labelled that Everton player that Everton just not very attacking. So we have to shrug that off. He's also got to get over the fact that he's not played that advanced in previous seasons. But he's got 6 returns in 12 games. His XGI isn't bad at 0.63. That's decent. The fixtures look hard, so that's going against him. But he has played every single game this season. The other problem, I suppose, it is a midfield slot, which I just don't really want to give up to Decore. And there are maybe 2 other cheaper options, which we'll look up on this list. Again, he's not a serious one that I'm looking at. If the fixtures were better, possibly it's a differential, it looks good. But I don't think we need to ignore the fact that he's just done nothing this year. So nothing, what was I trying to say? He has done really well this season. No one's really buying him or talking about him. And he continues to put up the numbers. If I just removed his name and told you there's an Everton player, 5.5, that was scored or gave a return in half the games, his XGI is 0.63, I think we'd be interested. So he's always in the back of the mind. He's always on my watch list. I just think if the fixtures became slightly better, then maybe as an option if I wanted to do something slightly different. But at the end of the day, I think the stats are there long term enough. Now 12 games is a decent sample size to maybe start trusting him more. The other issue he's got is just there's so many options, and there are a few around his price point which we'll take a look at that could possibly interest us. Now, as a replacement for Nketiah for me, or some other player sort of up against Nketiah, there is Odsonne Edouard. He's played 11 games this season. He's got 5 goals, so he's dealing in goals, which is great. He would be, for me, a direct replacement for Nketiah, or if you're still out, you own João Pedro, he's definitely a player you could get on. Only 3.7% owned, so he's a good differential. The next three fixtures look decent. 2 are away from home, which isn't ideal. Luton, West Ham, then you've got Bournemouth at home. Liverpool obviously not great. You could bench him then for 5.5. What I do like is that he has in that blank game week 18, where Brentford and Man City would be blanking, he has a decent fixture, and there's not many decent fixtures to jump on. He's got Brighton at home, and we know how good they are defensively. Underlying stats look decent given his price, 0.5, and he's played 70 minutes in almost every game he has got involved in those 11 games. So 5.5, he looks like a decent option. Palace next 3 fixtures, I think it would just be 3 fixtures and then maybe move off him, or if you can hold him through game week 18, that looks decent as well. But Odsonne Edouard is on the radar. He looks alright for the price and one move from Nketiah, or if you were looking at João Pedro, I think he's a decent option. The other one that people are starting to move on, now he is fit and we've got a bit of data about him, is Eberechi Eze. He looked really good at the weekend, and he is another one I am looking at. If I had nothing else to do, possibly I could move from Bowen if I needed to, but otherwise I could move off Diaby to get to Eze. 6.1, but Toma as well is another option if you wanted to move. People getting frustrated with him. 8 games, 2 goals, 2 assists, decent underlying stats, and if you've just seen the next 3 games, pretty good, and game week 18 offers a good fixture in a blank game week as well. Underlying stats look decent. He's on penalties, and he's just on everything as well. He's on all set pieces, so he's a constant menacing threat. Passes the eye test at the weekend, and Paris look a completely rejuvenated and better side with him in it. Again, we talk about the importance of having players that are going to play week in, week out over the Christmas period. I think he's definitely going to be one of those. So I think 90-minute man, yes, absolutely. Main man, yes. Eberechi Eze, definitely one of those on my watch list. The last player that I'm going to look at is one I'm seriously looking at moving. If it's not from Diaby to him, then it will be from Bowen. Played the last 6 games, cheap as chips at 5.2. Really like him. 4 goals, 3 assists. 4 of those are penalties. Picking up assists along the way as well. But his XGI is really nice. Given that's including non-penalties. With the penalties included, his expected goal volume is over 1. So without penalties, 0.71. Playing in a Chelsea side, 3 games don't look great. Could argue Brighton's okay at home. Man United, you would expect them to score, and Newcastle have their problems. So you could create a story or a picture here that he's got decent fixtures. I'm not particularly convinced on that over the next 3 games, but Donald looks great even without penalties, and he looks pretty nailed to me at the moment. I would ideally not want to bring him in this week. I think I wouldn't mind bringing him in game week 14 for Brighton, but I've got 2 transfers to use, and I'm going to have to use 1. So for longer term, if you look after the next 3 game weeks, I've got Everton away, Sheffield United, Wolves, Palace at home, Luton, Fulham. They look great. Liverpool away in game week 22 doesn't look so great, but then even then after that, you've got Wolves and Palace. So I think for someone who's only 8.1% owned on pens in a Chelsea side that's scoring pretty freely at the moment, he just looks brilliant, and his price keeps going up and up. So even if I went to him this week and benched him just to use up that transfer and not waste it, he's one I'm booking in for the future. Would I mind playing him away at Newcastle, Brighton and Man U? Absolutely not. 5.2, I think he looks really good. The last one I am going to go on, I've added him on to the end then, is Brian Mbeumo. He's another one that falls into that Cole Palmer category, I feel. Well, I don't particularly want to buy him now, but I do want him for the future because his fixtures look really good. He's absolutely nailed. He's the definition of someone who's nailed. He just plays every week, 90 minutes. Up front, he's on pens. The fixture this week isn't great at home to Arsenal, but Luton, Brighton, Sheffield United look great. He will blank in game week 18, so you need to be able to cater for that. But then possibly he will have that double game week 20 if it's expected to be announced. Will include Man City, but there's a decent. It's still a double game week, and I wouldn't happy going on that. And again, when we talk about those fixtures over Christmas, 90 minutes, man, he's absolutely continue to go off in price. For Luton at home, Brighton away, Sheffield United away, I don't want to be without him. He's definitely going to have to come in. It'll either be Cole Palmer and Mbeumo. The problem is there's so many good other midfield options that I feel like I don't want to take another one out to bring Mbeumo at home to Arsenal. So it's not going to be a priority for that. But Luton at home, do I want to be without him in that? Away at Brighton, who haven't kept a clean sheet all season, and then Sheffield United away, they look really good. I just want him, and the longer term fixtures after that look great. They look great until about game week 23. So Mbeumo's going to have to come in at some point. Do I bring him in now, or would it be Cole Palmer, or do I move Nketiah? Those are my decisions I've got to make for the team selection. But Mbeumo is absolutely someone I'm going to have to bring in. That's it for this one then, guys. Let me know in the comments below what your transfer plans are for game week 13. We will come back at you with a team selection before the deadline. So in the meantime, take care, good luck, and I shall speak to you soon.